the demonic army was never actually defeated. We just imprisoned Sargeras, broke the Burning Legion structure that he himself had placed upon the demons, but the demons still remain in insane numbers. Even more importantly, the Legion itself was created by the Dreadlords that had manipulated Sargeras, and until a few years back, the Dreadlords were really the main brains behind the Burning Legion, aside from the eredar. Now in the World Soul Saga, everyone is coming to Azeroth, the Void, the Light, the Titans, and as you may remember, the main Dreadlord guy, Denathrius, left us with a huge cliffhanger back in Shadowlands. He already has a life agent, he has a big agent in the light with a evil light invasion hints, but his main invasion force when he comes is going to be the demonic army he had nurtured for thousands of years. So the demons are coming, but this time without Sargeras, without the Burning Crusade, and with a new goal. If you guys want to buy Total War, Elder Scrolls, or any other game, you can get them at great prices with my Gamivo link. You can also get anything Warcraft related, gift cards and software, and all below market prices. Best of all, if you add my code DORON, you can get an even bigger discount, so make sure to check out my link in the description and get some amazing deals with Gamivo. I don't know if you noticed, but it does seem like the World Soul Saga is picking up where the Legion left off, which actually makes total sense as this is when Chris Metzen left and when he returned. Of course, BFA, Shadowlands, Dragonflight lore is still super relevant. It will be obviously a part of the next 3 expansions, but the main teams are here: Thrall, Anduin, Sword of Sargeras, Titans, and almost everyone that was involved pre-Legion and Legion. Most importantly, the 2 main guys, Sargeras and Illidan, are 100% going to be a big deal in the World Soul Saga, especially the last Titan, and you can check out a previous video I did on this recently, as their storylines are so heavily intertwined with the Titan Pantheon and their confirmed return in the final expansion of the saga. However, most importantly, all of these storylines are also intertwined with the Burning Legion and the demonic army. We celebrated the defeat of the Legion and the imprisonment of Sargeras nearly a decade ago, and back then it was like the day was saved, we finally defeated a big bad, and everyone was thinking, WoW is on its last legs as there is no one else left to fight because this trans-dimensional demon army was like the devil of the Warcraft universe. However, now this perspective kinda seems ridiculous from this point of the lore evolution, as it is so obvious that the Burning Legion and Sargeras were but a minor player in the entire grand scheme of things, and we really only stopped one part of the disorder from trying to break the mechanism and control the universe. But not only do we have 4 others, 5 if we count life, but we have this entire mechanism to deal with in the first place. At this point in time, it seems highly likely that the entire Burning Crusade and the creation of the Burning Legion is much deeper than it seemed originally. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they were the good guys, they weren't destroying the worlds, they were saving them, but there seems to be a lot more as to why Sargeras turned against the Titan Pantheon, and Sargeras might not have been all that different with his demonic army. When compared to the Titans, he was just more outright destructive. If you remember the lore, Sargeras was like the champion of the Titans, the strongest of them, and they sent him to deal with the worst problems out there. Demons come from the Disorder realm, they're the exact polar opposite of order, and at the same time they were essentially the main pests the Titans had to deal with, at least until they had discovered that the Void is also a thing, and that it is also a much bigger threat. The demons, as far as we know, are naturally chaotic beings, and they were kind of wired this way by how weird the Twisted Nether is, and it is in their nature to just spread chaos. They're super dangerous, but they lack any sort of hierarchy that is like the bread and the butter of the Titans, and that is exactly why they were such easy pickings for the Titans. I mean, Sargeras dealt with these guys all the time. Eventually, he even created a whole prison world in order to keep them there. Now, here's the thing. Why did Titans realize that the Void is a much bigger problem? I mean, the Void is also inherently chaotic, but it is a lot more intelligent, it is organized, it is manipulative, it can cause a lot more and a lot bigger damage. The thing about demons, I mean, originally they were just so chaotic that they could never organize into more than a bandit group because they battled each other more than they attacked others. That is why when Sargeras realized how dangerous the Void is, he realized he could mobilize these demons, but he would obviously need the brains, the organization, the hierarchy, a structure in order to actually make anything with this army. Now this here is where it gets really interesting. We learned from the Shadowlands that the Dreadlords are not demons whatsoever, and they played a critical part in this creation process. They They were the ones that kinda led Sargeras to think this way, and they were the brains behind the creation of the entire Burning Legion and the entire Burning Crusade. We learned from the book that Denathrius sent agent to all the forces, even life, but the Titans were the easiest to corrupt out of all of them. So this here is the entire topic of this video and why the Legion is not done yet. Remember, we defeated Sargeras, we imprisoned him, indirectly helping the Titans, and indirectly helping Denathrius as well. We broke the Burning Legion structures, we shattered their armies. While we did kill some demons, obviously, in these battles, they're still out there in huge, gigantic numbers. However, with this, we have two critical points that a lot of people are missing. While demons were originally super unorganized and not that intelligent, they spent tens of thousands of years under the Legion structure, under intelligent guiding, using advanced technology such as trans-dimensional spaceships. They use complex architecture, they learn to follow orders. A really good analogy to this would be like how we might have been hunter-gatherers like tens of thousands of years ago, but just because the Roman Empire shattered doesn't mean the former Roman citizens just returned to hunting and gathering. Therefore, we still got all the structures around, all the progress. They just don't have Sargeras, Kil'jaeden, and Archimonde to lead them in the Burning Crusade. Second, and even more important, is that the Dreadlords are now at the peak of their power. We have seen them in the Shadowlands when they freed Denathrius. They apparently got a life agent, we are yet to discover. They got a light agent, Lothraxion, and Denathrius was shown at the end of Shadowlands, obviously hinting that he's going to be doing something big. Outside of the eredar, most of the Legion was actually led by Dreadlords. Dreadlords were like the top of the food chain since forever with the demons, and they were also behind the original creation. Most importantly, it seems like the Denathrius team planned the destruction of the Legion from within, which is why they had wired Argus to destroy the death mechanism so that Denathrius could obviously break free. Do you think Denathrius is not going to mobilize this entire structure he nurtured for thousands of years to his favor and to just recreate this exact same army? Let's look at how all this is relevant and how a new Legion is going to be coming. So, as you're almost certainly aware by this point, and I've mentioned this a million times, every cosmological force is after Azeroth, and a big showdown is happening in this entire saga. We recently had Death coming through the Jailer, we have the Void, the Light coming in Midnight, the Titans in Order coming in the Last Titan. The Jailer, that one was kinda just Zobal's foolish plan that really led nowhere, but the real Death Cosmological Force is definitely going to be coming through Denathrius. He has been pushing the Death Realm for a really long time. Recently, we had a ton of hints that we are getting the Evil Light and very likely a Light Invasion, the Fanatical Light Invasion. Guess who is one of the key figures? Lothraxion, a super well integrated agent Denathrius is going to use. Think of it this way, Death is going to invade as well now that everyone is coming to Azeroth. First, the Dreadlords are definitely going to infiltrate just to set the ground. They could use the life agent they have to strike a blow, but all this is obviously going to be just early preparations. Then, he's going to use his light connections to really soften the ground on Azeroth. Think of it how the Legion used the Lich King and the Scourge to soften the ground for their own invasion. So, he's going to be playing the light card next. He might even play on the remnants of the Scourge, as all of this is happening in Northrend, and this is his own natural power, Death. However, his main force and the main card is going to be his extensive connections with the demonic army and with the former Burning Legion. Dreadlords, he essentially created the Legion. They still got most of their agents in the Fell Disorder force. They're going to bring this force back, but not the Burning Crusade, not Sargeras and all, a Dreadlord-led demonic army that is going to learn from all the mistakes and come with a new goal. Now, another kind of contradicting possibility is that the demons themselves might get empowered like independently. Remember, despite the non-demonic races ruling them like the Eredar and the Denathrius, they may have evolved intelligence over the years, and they might realize that the Dreadlords are trying to use them. Think of it this way, the demons had really been the victims this entire time, both in the Dreadlords, Death Schemes, and in Sargeras' insane crusade, so they might get one of their own, like actual demons to lead them. They might overthrow the Dreadlords and they might actually attack us, but with their own management, and this could be something that would be entirely unpredictable. However, honestly, I do feel like the Denathrius scenario is more likely because while they may be more intelligent, keep in mind that Dreadlords had outmaneuvered the much more intelligent beings like Sargeras himself and Archimonde and Kil'jaeden, so not sure some intelligent demon is going to see through their plans, but this either way could turn out to be super interesting. Thank you for watching. Check out the upcoming zones we're going to get in the Worlds of Saga by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on ancient Greek colonies in Spain by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.